Welcome back to Tu-Vie. Today, I'm going to be talking about The Batman. Now, I finally got a chance to go see The Batman on HBO Max, and I didn't get to go see in the theaters because I don't have any money, but I waited until I get it on HBO Max, and I finally watched it in all its love and glory. I even did a live tweet party about it, so if you guys were there, thank you for joining. If not, maybe stick around for the next one. This is just my thoughts and on how I enjoyed the movie, and I just super excited for the sequel. This is going to be my spoiler-filled review and just my thoughts and everything about it. So if you guys haven't had a chance to go see it yet, please go do it now and then come back to this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start off by saying this. Best Batman I have ever seen ever. I think this is definitely my favorite Batman movie. And on first watch, I couldn't get enough of anything, what was happening. It was just all so awesome. I'm actually not going to talk about Batman first. I want to talk about the villains first. Paul Dano, Colin Farrell, and John Turturro are all fantastic additions to these movies. Well, Turturro was. Colin Farrell as the Penguin was easily the best version of the Penguin I have ever seen. I think maybe at the time before I watched this, the best one I ever kind of thought it was the Penguin from the Arkham games. And the one from the Gotham show, I don't want to talk about that. Everything about this movie with all the mob bosses felt like actual Arkham game material. Everything about the villain specifically felt right. It felt like it had a very fluid story and how it connected to everything. Especially Colin Farrell's Penguin, where a lot of people on set didn't even know that it was him because of the full transformation they had to do. And there was a video posted not too long ago about all the prosthetics and everything that he had to do. And it was just, it's so cool to see this guy transform himself into this very, very, very famous crime boss in Gotham City, and as well as, on paper and comics. John Turturro as Carmine Falcone was easily the coolest thing about that movie. And the way that John Turturro has that kind of suave and smooth way of talking really brought a sense of fear into the character as well, because I think a lot of people remember him from the first Transformer movies and actually the first few of them, and they're kind of stuck on that with him. And this definitely, refocuses your vision. I think with Turturro as Falcone brought a sense of unnerving vocabulary with the character, because a character like Falcone is a very powerful man and is very focused man, and he can do a lot of crazy things. And I think with Turturro shining on this character so well and bringing this, like I said, unnerving vocabulary to the character, really just kind of like has you squirm in your chair. Not as much as I did, though, for Paul Dano's Riddler. Now, Riddler, in my opinion, was a joke villain. I don't think anybody actually used the Riddler to bring a sense of fear in a character and a sense of actual threat to Gotham. They've always used him, like I said, in the Arkham games as a side mission or some kind of fun thing for you to do. And with Jim Carrey's character, who was just there to crack jokes and everything, I think this character felt more realistic in terms of what he was doing and the reasons why. Now, when I say realistic, I mean the whole thing was inspired by the Zodiac Killer, who is a real thing and is a real crime. And the way they present his attitude and his vision seemed very lifelike, and that what his background was and what he wants to do for himself felt very similar to some things we could see in the real world. And for me, that's terrifying enough already. So seeing that in actual movies is crazy. I seriously never understood when I was reading those reviews that Batman didn't smile, Batman didn't crack jokes, there was no funny page. Like, I don't understand it. I would have killed this movie. If they actually had any of those things that people were disappointed they didn't see, it would have killed this movie. And I'm glad they didn't. They gave you a harsh story. I am a sucker for the first year Batman series. And this being a year 2 Batman, which is practically the same thing on the movie that it is paper for year 1. And everything about it, it was just so perfect. There was nothing more I could have asked besides the sequel, which is, coming. We have that confirmed now. But I mean, with everything that we got, it felt right. It felt like what was given, what was needed. Everything about this movie with the action specifically felt earned. It didn't feel like it's out of place. It didn't feel like it just randomly came in, but it felt like a build up to something more similar to the monologue where he was doing, I am the shadows. But you see 3 different spots of how the villains are reacting to the bat signal and the living shadows all around him, where the guy walks out of the convenience store after robbing the guy, or the guy that's vandalizing the city hall and he drops a can and runs. But then we actually get the subway scene where he walks out after that guy was going to get mugged. And I think with that, it brought a sense of fear even to the viewer, because you didn't know which corner pocket he was going to be coming out of. But that slow walk with the music, it just felt great. And then the built-in action that goes right into it was so awesome. Robert Pattinson as Batman is easily my favorite Batman. I'm sorry for those who are Christian Bale fans. Christian Bale was fun. He brought a good Bruce Wayne, and I think his version of Batman was great with Nolan's idea. But with a Batman that's year two, and with what Reeves was doing, Robert Pattinson was the best choice. And Robert Pattinson was a great idea of being this sense of vengeance first, in this revenge story, in this hatred, to then letting that all go because he saw what real vengeance was and becoming a beacon of hope. Where Batman, yes, is a justice being. He deals out his own version of justice because he's a vigilante. But I think at the end, where they're leading the people out of the flood and he's helping the people and he says, I need to be a symbol for hope, was so beautiful to see, because Batman does give some people hope and does instill fear in the enemies. But at the core of it, he is a hero, not a villain. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, by far the best Gordon I've ever seen. Jeffrey Wright, love the man to death. He's a phenomenal actor, and I really hope they bring him back for every single project they ever do with Batman from now until the end of time. I do know we have those extra spin-off shows coming our way with the Penguin and Arkham Asylum and the sequel coming out for the Batman. And if Jeffrey Wright isn't at least a part of an episode or two, they're missing out on an amazing opportunity to build this story from, him being a police officer to commissioner. Everything about this movie was so well done. The cinematography, the acting, the pacing, the visuals itself was so good. And I like the practicality that they did, which amplifies the scene more if you know about it. For what I'm talking about the scene where he does the gliding thing off the building. They did have Robert Pattinson pull something and it did become a wingsuit and he zipped it up and everything. But then the flying sequence part was CGI. But they did actually, to shoot that scene, have someone stand on top of an actual building and recorded it. And that guy was actually standing on, the edge of it. So something bad could have happened. A lot of the fights as well was so well choreographed with Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson. Their dynamic was so perfect. I think it's so cool to see Zoe Kravitz go from the Marvel hero side in the X-Men movies to becoming another vigilante along Batman in the DC universe. And her acting skills is just phenomenal. She can say so much without actually saying a single word. I have been seeing a lot of the impression on TikTok with the Penguin where everyone's going like, oh, take it easy, sweetheart. Like, it's funny to do that line, but one of the funniest things I think about the movie was how there was like funny stuff to the people that they didn't emphasize in the movie. Like, the cleverness of Penguin waddling when he's being handcuffed. And, that's the whole thing about the Penguin. Everybody expects him to waddle because he's a small, larger man, which then leads him to the waddle. But this was just kind of funny to see that. And I didn't expect a lot of humor like the Marvel movies sometimes do, which can kill the moment. I think this movie also sets up a lot of villains, like the venom that Batman injected himself at the end of the fight to get his adrenaline up. And the word hush was stated talking about the renewal plan. Now, I know that was most likely just because of the way that Riddler wanted to present that case. But if hush is brought into this movie series, that would be really cool. But again, just the word itself, no actual character. I think what this movie did really, really good and is setting up a lot of other characters like Harvey Dent possibly coming in because the DA died, and that can lead him to be Two-Face. And I do hope that maybe for the sequel, the main villain would be Mr. Freeze, because I think it'd be a great way to have the red and the blue and possibly another color, maybe green for the third movie be for the Joker. And I suppose the Joker coming back in that one clip we got 2 weeks after the movie's release with Barry Keoghan, and it just is so well done. Matt Reeves knows how to tell this story perfectly. I think we're gonna watch this movie a billion more times in the next 2 days. So this movie is just the right Batman story at the perfect time. I didn't mind the runtime. I actually quite enjoyed it. I was able just to slow down and really enjoy and capture all the details, and I did enjoy that. And so then there is my review of the Batman. If you guys did enjoy this video, please let me know by liking and let me know in the comments, and also let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the movies. I think this movie was divided both ways, when people just hated it because it wasn't comedy, even though it's not a comedy, and then a lot of people enjoyed it. I think a lot of people more enjoyed it than they did hate it. Also, let me know about your thoughts on the possible trilogy that we're going to be getting, as well as the spin-off shows and the sequel. Who do you want to see? What do you don't want to see? Let me know your thoughts. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because I love making these videos for you guys, and we have a lot of fun stuff coming. Be sure to also check us out on social media at TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify and everywhere else you get podcasts. Me and my co-host and my good friend Colin talk all things TVs, movies, and entertainment, because that's what Tu-Vie is, your TV, movie, and entertainment needs podcast. Thanks again for watching, and as always, welcome to Tu-Vie.